Hello and welcome to Spare Change Podcast today. Just going over all of the current plans that I have for 2023. If you're watching this on video, you may notice a slight change in video quality. I lucked out on Christmas and my wife was able to buy me a new webcam. So that definitely helps a lot. Um, One of the things that I also wanted to talk about is going into 2023, just having new ways to improve the situations we already know we need to. Um, One of those things being debt payment and debt repayment. So, two strategies that I highlighted recently in a conversation with my wife and a few other people were you can use the snowball method or you can use the avalanche method. Um, not going to go off the top of my head. I'm just going to read to you kind of what I went over. So, snowball debt repayment, making minimum debt repayments, and making your um, extra payments on the highest interest or on the smallest loan first. So, with the snowball, you start on the smallest loan as far as loan total, and then when you pay that off, you move to the next lowest loan total and you begin paying that loan off. Over time, this will allow you to pay really quickly on the small loans, and the bigger loan that's typically set at a longer time range away from right now, that loan will be the last one out of all of your loans that you or the of all of your debt that you end up paying off. With debt avalanche or avalanche strategy for debt repayments, you kind of take account of all of your loans and you start with the highest interest. And as you pay off that highest interest loan, then you move on to the next highest interest and so on until all your debt's paid off. So personally, I haven't really committed to a specific one of these strategies. I know one of the biggest debts I really had as a younger guy, especially in the military, this happens a lot, but you'll get a car loan because I mean, you got to drive to work, right? And if not, you got a carpool, and not everybody's car is a car that you want to ride in. Um, but definitely for me, one of the biggest things that I ever had to do was figure out exactly what I was going to do as a 21-year-old getting his first car. Because I didn't get my driver's license until I was 21. Uh, really late bloomer in that sense. One of the biggest things for me was I don't want to be stuck in a car payment forever, but I also don't want to pay the whole thing off right away or pay it off in cash at the dealership because then one, I won't build any credit, and two, any of the potential value that the car has when you buy it at the dealership, and this is a common way of thinking about it, is that car's value will immediately depreciate. And when I say that, what I mean is a vehicle will lose value as soon as it drives off of a car lot because it's being upcharged on the lot, and the taxes and interest that you pay up front don't justify the value that that car now sits at as being owned by you and being a used vehicle. No matter if it's brand new or not, you can end up in a situation where you thought it was worth XYZ and turns out it's worth way less. That's my main issue with debt and cars. I think car loan um debt can be one of the most like you're not gaining equity in a vehicle unless it's like some collector's edition and it gets more valuable with time because there's so many of them. But if you're just driving this car daily, you really don't want to be in debt for it. but also you don't want to, push all your money into it right away. So it's kind of a tricky situation, and that's the situation a lot of young 18 to 25-year-olds find their uh like that's a very relevant way of getting in debt other than college, which I mean, college debt can be taken care of in a multitude of ways, and it's more of a long-term debt, and it's supposed to set you up for income that you'll be able to pay it away with. Not everybody's that fortunate, but I do believe that overall, paying off those small debts first um, can benefit you long term, because then you're not as focused on, oh, well, I've got a car payment, I've got a mortgage, I've got all this credit card debt, and I've got a student loan. Now you're focused on, okay, my smallest loan is my credit card. Technically speaking, not a loan, but debt. The smallest debt that I have is credit card. So I burn all that away by making more than the minimum payments. I put away the principal and I pay off the interest and all that related to the loan. And then my next thing is my car loan, and so on and so forth. So I'm making the commitment to pay off all of my smallest debt. I'll give updates on this as I go weekly with the podcast, but I think it's going to be beneficial for myself and any audience that's listening to kind of start strategizing. Look at the debt that you currently have and think, okay, if I want to go the snowball route, I've got to pay my smallest loan off or my smallest debt off and then move to the next smallest. And then up until I'm only dealing with one piece of debt, and it's the biggest one, and I can just really focus on that after I've paid all my other debt off. Or I can start with the highest interest. Let's say my credit card is at like 15% interest and my car is at like 5. I would start with the credit card. And again, in a similar vein, if that was the smallest and it's the highest interest, of course, go for that one, pay it off, get rid of that, because it's only hurting you in the long run. I would say I'm not a credit expert, but being in loads of credit card debt with super high interest wouldn't be beneficial in anyone's situation. The idea of a credit card is to build credit by making your on-time payments, not being in debt, and being able to have a positive balance at all times, regardless of what you're spending money on, and having the money to pay for what you're putting on credit. That way, you're not paying like astronomical amounts of interest, or like putting yourself in a financial situation where you're financing your every meal or you're paying interest on everything that you buy. Like that's a very negative way to get in a bad financial situation, where there's other situations that are less less negative up front, and there's equity that you build, like home ownership. I really advocate for it because I've built equity, and if you're young and you're not really looking to like build a family, I would say I've had guests on that preach purchasing like multifamily real estate or a duplex, and then leveling that up into Airbnb, rental properties, investment property. Now someone's paying you to live in a property that you own. And that is just like one strategy to kind of like build wealth and improve your credit and make yourself look better on paper financially over time. Um, So those are two big things that I want to think about going into 2023. Also, taxes are right around the corner. That's going to be a big topic soon. So if you don't already have kind of an idea of who you want to do your taxes through, who you want to um, ask questions to about taxes, if you haven't studied tax codes and uh, any of the changes that are coming, especially in 2026, we're going to see a jump in our tax rates, which will throw a lot of people off because they'll be like, hey, why are taxes going up? But it's already in act. Like that's a law that's going to change based on like previously established like legislature tax codes. Like there's already so much going on in the world, and if you're not paying attention to where your money's going legally, like through the system, and how the government impacts the decisions that you're going to make in the future with your money based on interest or based on whatever rates they're going to tax people at, that's a huge indicator of what you should be preparing for financially. um Overall, I think those are some of the main topics that I'm going to be focused on really soon. Beyond that, just understanding, the holidays just came around. If you were giving people money, those gifts can be written off for taxes. Um, and there's a lot of different situations that people can find themselves in. Like if you just bought something really expensive for Christmas, like you were at this Toyota Thon event, just Toyota, don't take me out, just an example. But I think there's a lot of financial decisions that get made at the end of the year. Um, and companies don't really care what your wallet looks like when you're coming to purchase their product. A lot of times they're just there to make that quick holiday buck, report it on the quarterly for the business, and have good holiday numbers so that they can have a clean start for the next year. I would definitely say if anyone is struggling or you find yourself in a hard spot coming into the new year, there are resources available. And I'll list some of that below in the description. But there are so many ways to make money and to get help if you need it, if you're not making enough money. But just keep in mind that not everything is overnight and that not everything that you see is reality. So just because someone says that something can make you a lot of money doesn't mean it can. And just because someone says something's a good deal or someone says, hey, this investment's a good idea, doesn't mean that that's the truth. And we've seen that time and time again. I'm sure I'll cover more in the future. Um, but I'm definitely looking forward to 2023 overall. And however this grows, however many people I can give advice to and talk to through this podcast, definitely want to just put in a holiday message and let everybody know what's on my mind going into the new year. If you have any questions or a discussion that you'd like to share based on this video or coming into 2023, a piece of advice that you might think people would need, feel free to leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, like and share it to your friends. And have a great new year. And I hope to hear from you all soon. And I hope that everybody gets some value out of this. Have a great day.